Welcome to SML Total Access, where we break down news, predictions, and more in our Madden League. Now, let's get fired up for SML football.
Hello and welcome back to SML Total Access. I'm Primetime 000, and I think we have a very special episode today. That is Matt, Dan, and Prime, the trifecta, back at it again. Guys, let's start off with a good one here. Topic 1. Is Mad Bomber still part of the Big Five? And Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm guessing this question's kind of stemming off. He missed the playoffs a couple seasons ago. Last season in the playoffs, he got upset by Meats. But yeah, I'm not jumping off the Bombers in the Big Five train just yet. He's 2-1. His only loss is a close one to QP. Bomber's a well-oiled machine. He knows, if you watch his streams, he knows his play calling is somewhat scripted. He knows what he wants to do. He knows how to execute his plays. He's pretty good on defense when his team is healthy. I'm not panicked. I'm a little bit concerned about that playoff game just because, sometimes when great players get upset, it's like it's a close game and maybe a break or two goes the other guy's way. But I felt like Meats kind of dominated that entire game, and that kind of worried me a little bit. But as you can see, Meats seems to be getting better, and I'll talk about that later. So Bomber's still a part of the Big Five. There's only been 4 Simbardi winners this in Madden 22. They're all part of the Big Five. I'm not jumping off the train yet.
Yeah, so I'll echo a little bit of what Matt says. I agree that Bomber is in the Big Five because he's won a Simbardi and would poll the league and say who could win a Simbardi this season. I believe Bomber would be in that top 5. So he deserves to be in the Big Five. But when you lose to Meats following a season of not making the playoffs, there's got to be some questions out there because, for sure, we'll give you season 1, you tried that Sears experiment and we're finding everyone in the league is getting the same results with that. But last year, really no excuse with the new quarterback. And now, something seems off. Like he doesn't get Chubb activated very often. Like Matt said, it kind of a little bit of scripted play. So I think Bomber needs to get back at it. Think a little bit about what he's doing, maybe add some things. Because he needs a big win. He needs a little bit of a playoff run. I think he needs at least the AFC Championship appearance this season to get himself comfortably back in that, staying in that Big Five.
I'm actually going to take him out of the Big Five. And I know people say Prime likes his narrative, so I know I have to come with facts to support that. So in Bomber's last 9 games against the other 4 of the Big Five, he's 2-7 against the other 4 of the Big Five. He lost to Meats last season by 2 scores in the playoffs. 2 scores against Meats, the folding chair in the playoffs. If you're in the Big Five, if you have an upset loss, it's got to be close. You lose 2 scores to Meats. He just completely misses the playoffs the season before that. And this isn't with the Lions. This isn't with the Texans. This isn't with young Colts or Jaguars team. This is with probably a top 3 Madden roster to start, to play with, and to finish, even without Baker Mayfield. You got the best running back in the game. You have a loaded defense. You've got a 97 speed receiver. You've got it all, and no excuse. QP wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Dan wouldn't do that. Faz wouldn't do that. So yeah, maybe Bomber is a top 5 or top 7 player in the league, but I think the mystique of the Big Five, or now the Fantastic Four, is that it's just a step above. And I don't think Bomber is necessarily a step above anymore. I don't know if he's complacent after that one Super Bowl win or what it is exactly, but I don't think he can be mentioned in that same breath anymore.
Yeah, I think the thing that, and I've told Bomber this a little bit at PFC, I think he's just got stagnant in what he's doing and hasn't adjusted. And some of the top 5, the Big Five we list here, one of the things that they're known for well is their keep evolving as players and as the game changes. And I think I think that's the step that Bomber needs to take to stay in this Big Five conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to ask you guys the question, and probably you answered it, was, do you think Bomber got that Simbardi to start the cycle and just said, I'm good. Hey, I can lean on this thing. No matter what happens, I can just say in chat, hey, I'm holding my Simbardi. What are you doing? And that works with most of the league. But when you watch Bomber streams, he's too competitive. He's not coasting. He wants another one. So I still got him. I disagree with you, Prime, but I think you make a good point. And this is a big season for Bomber. I agree.
Yeah. We'll see for sure. So, and I do want to say that when you watch his streams, he does want to win. Something just feels off. I agree. So moving on, second down. What do you guys think about guys who sometimes they'll put it in chat or threaten things, or they're just kind of always talking retirement? Dan, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is kind of a new, different thing for me in the SML, because all the other leagues I'm in, and I've really never kind of seen kind of the talk about retirement as much as it comes up. Now, I think some of it is a little bit of a stick, some of it's a little bit of a joke, but other guys kind of talk about it, and it's sort of like they're serious about it. And I think I've seen Woods and NYT, I think Fig, the Bomber, I've seen countless kind of people make statements like that. And I think even Mike kind of went after someone, I forget who at the time, is like, look, just
Monty.
go or go. Like, yeah, you either, it was Monty, I think. Yeah, you either, you're either here because of the community and you play a broken, kind of beat up, awful game, and you enjoy each other, or you don't. So, I think, for me, it's odd because it's just not something I'm used to in a CFM community. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of it because, again, I mean, it is the community that is better than the game, and it's the community of the SML that I enjoy and want to be a part of. So, I don't quite get it. Maybe other guys can help me figure out why it's part of the SML.
Yeah, for me, it depends on how it's delivered and the frequency in which it's delivered. For me, with Woods is kind of the person. Well, I guess Prime and Woods are kind of the two examples that kind of started that when I got into the SML. Woods would always post the David Ortiz gif of him crying, and I always thought that was funny because I know Woods isn't going anywhere.
I agree.
And he wasn't like, oh man, I suck, I'm going to retire. It was just for fun. Prime kind of does the same thing. This might be my last playoff runner. We all know those guys aren't going anywhere, and they're not saying, oh, I just lost by 10, I'm out of here, or I've lost 4 in a row, I'm out of here. That's where I'm on the side of Mike, who's attacking these people and saying, quit talking about it, get out of here, because every time you lose, you talk about retiring. So just do it. That's where it gets on my nerves. If winning and losing is the only reason that you're in the SML, you're probably not going to last, because it's a very competitive league. Cycle to cycle, things can change, and they often do for most people. Whether I go 16-0 or 0-16, I feel the same way about the SML. I'm not leaving, and I'm not talking about retiring. So to me, it just depends on how you do it and how frequently you do it. If you never talk about retirement and then you get blown out, and now all of a sudden you're ready to quit, that's a bad look. I mean, what if you're someone like Prime who's seeing someone always saying, I'm going to retire? Are you thinking, geez, is this person just going to leave me on a whim here? Like, when are they serious? When are they not? Do I have to have a replacement ready? I think it's a bad look for some people.
Yeah, I agree, Matt. And just about with everything you said, I mean, with Woods, I mean, he's I think funny. I've made my jokes about it, and it really is just timing. Are you saying it, to try to just be goofy, or are you saying it just in the heat of a moment after a loss, or in lieu of a league decision, or what are you trying to get out of it? Are you trying to get the pat on the back? And I don't know. I mean, I find it annoying, and I don't think it solves a whole lot, especially putting it in social chat. I guess it's, if you're serious about it, then you probably should just DM somebody who can either help you make that decision, or a league official of some sort who can actually prepare, because I just broadcasting it after a loss or whatever the case may be, or in lieu of if this happens, I don't think it's a bright decision by any means. Moving on to third down here. Best or worst excuses after a game that you guys seen. What do you think?
Well, for me, there is no such thing as a best excuse. In my opinion, we play this game. When you win, you win. When you lose, you lose. We all get maddened. Nobody gets maddened more than anybody else. I know everybody feels like they do, but I lost a game to, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Colt. That was a couple seasons ago. I had COVID, but I didn't lose that game because I had COVID. I lost that game because I lost that game. He beat me before when I didn't have COVID. So I don't like when people say, "Oh, I didn't feel good," or "I was tired," or I was drunk. If you're any of those, if you're going into the game, don't play the game. Then, hey, sorry, man, I drank a little bit too much tonight. Can we reschedule? Well, the reason I don't like excuses is because it takes away from your opponent.
Yep.
And your opponent is probably extremely excited about a win, especially if it's, what if Bomber came out and said, "Oh man, sorry, I was on a long flight last night and I just was too tired and Meats beat me." It takes away from Meat, and he didn't do that, but it just takes away from the win for Meats. Like, he just won a big playoff game, and then the opponent's just saying, "Oh, you didn't beat me. I was tired, or I was high, or I was drunk, or my wife was in my ear." I don't like. There's no such thing as the best excuse, and all of the excuses are the worst ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree again with Matt in the idea that it takes away from the opponent. That's the part that kind of drives me insane a little bit. I like to break down the game afterwards, and sometimes I try to understand it. But other than the one time Prime forced me to play when I had COVID
Not true.
was threatening to kick me out of the league. No, there's really no other excuse. I mean, I drove 16 hours on 3 hours of sleep just to play Doink, and then he beat me. Hey, that was a choice I made because I like to play Madden and I like the community I wanted to play, but Doink beat me. I mean, it's not because of what I did. I mean, sometimes, in my role, in my job, I get texts, phone calls, random times where people are having crisis in the moment, and I just need to talk or respond. And I'm playing a Madden game while I'm trying to help someone through it. But hey, you know what? That's not my opponent's fault, and I'm not taking that away from my opponent as well too. So yeah, I agree with Matt that we see this. I think even saw this morning in chat. I think even I was watching Clinky's stream the other day when he was playing Woods, and he was complaining about being super tired. And I get it. We all have life. We all have things. We all have stuff that comes our way. But just like the real NFL, like, hey, you can't make excuses about how your body's feeling, or you can't make excuses because your family's going through this. You still got to play the game. So play the game, give the other person props, and move on.
Early in my SML career, actually probably before you guys were in the league, when I was a much hungrier primetime 000, I would beat guys, and it used to bother me because people's reactions would always be that there was always an excuse instead of giving me like, "Hey man, you earned that win," and that used to bother me, and maybe now that I've kind of accomplished a little bit more, it doesn't necessarily bother me anymore. But I can look back and say, okay, if I'm a player who doesn't win a whole lot, let's say KJ, and he does get a win over somebody, and somebody comes into chat using an excuse, I do think that's a little lame, a little bit, and there's never a good excuse for it. COVID vaccine, bad excuse, definitely a bad excuse, But no, that's all in good fun. I'm glad you got the vaccine, Dan. That's all I really have to say about that topic, honestly. And moving on to topic 4 here. QB Stud is back in the SML. SML icon, legend, maybe SML infamous member, QB Stud's return. Dan, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts on QB's return, and what's the expectations?
Yeah, this is kind of a pretty big shakeup when you go from ZZ, who everyone loved, and well, not everyone, I shouldn't have said that. 30 owners love ZZ, and there was a good community there, but the gameplay was subpar. Okay, QP Stud comes in now, and the gameplay goes dramatically up. 3-time Sombardi winner. Constantly pushing, AFC, NFC championship type games. So it'll be interesting to see. We thought the same thing was going to happen with RD, and then it didn't happen with RD, and hasn't happened yet. And so it's going to be interesting to see which way this kind of goes. But it has the potential of really shaking up that AFC. Has the potential of kind of shifting even that AFC South now. Becomes maybe potentially one of the best, if not the best, division in all of SML. So I'm excited to see what this is going to play out. I'm excited to see what kind of alliances kind of form. I think that's a new thing that we've had in the last year and a half since QP Stud hasn't been here. Some of these alliances, the Click, Thanos Club, Bushwhackers, the Goat Herd. Like, who's QP Stud going to align himself with? He's going to align himself with Doink, or are they going to become the SML narcs that just go around watching everyone's gameplay? What's this going to be? So I think it's really exciting.
The SML narcs.
I like it. My knowledge and my experience with QB, QP, this is gonna be a problem. Is pretty limited. When I was in Primer, I had the Eagles. He was the Cowboys. So we played twice a season. I wasn't in Primer too long, so I think we only played 2 or 3 times. We played some good games. Chatted afterwards. He was kind of gave me some tips on getting to the SML. But when I got the call up, I got called up at the same time that DW did, because PJ and QB left at the same time. I got the Pats, and then DW obviously got QB's Chargers. So I don't know much about him. He was a great player in Madden 21. I mean, I don't think I ever beat him. We played close games, but I was much better in Madden 21 than I am now. So maybe that's the same for him. But I'm excited. He's very active in chat. I'm sure ZZ has a lot going on, and even when I scheduled with him, he did have some weird work hours sometimes. So, he's a lot more active than ZZ is in chat. I think it'll be interesting. I'm excited. I mean, it's more competition. I mean, one of the reasons I followed Prime to the AFC South is I like playing competition, man. It makes me better. I've got to make adjustments against Prime every single time because he knows what I'm going to do. So I value the competition that QB is going to bring, and I'm excited to play him. I'm excited to see how he shakes up the AFC, which, in my opinion, is already loaded. I would not have been heartbroken if he went to the NFC. So I'm glad he's back. I hope he's good for the league, and I hope we get to have a couple of battles here before the cycle ends.
Yeah. First of all, I'm excited for QB. I think he's a net positive for the league, just in terms of what he brings to chat and what he does with streams, stuff like that. As for gameplay expectations, I don't know how much he's been involved with Madden, and that I was thinking about this a little bit. And usually with sports or with Madden, you either get better and evolve, or you get left behind. And Dan, you kind of hinted at that earlier, but I think that you, myself, maybe Faz, have gotten better, and it might not seem like it because we still have these battles and close games, but we're all getting better. We're all adding things to our game. We're all learning, and because of that, somebody who doesn't really play a lot, they might not really be up to that par. So I think for QB, it's going to be something where he struggles a little bit initially. Maybe especially that Texans team really isn't that good. I mean, they got a receiver too, and Watson, who's not even a superstar, but he's good enough. The defense is trash from what I remember. So I think QB is going to struggle a little bit early, but he's a good player. He's a studier. He's a prepper. He's competitive. He's going to figure it out, and he's going to compete in the AFC. I think initially it's going to be tough for him, but no, I'm excited. I'm excited that I think I'm his first game, and I think that's going to be great. There's no film out on QB, and there's a lot out on Prime. He'll be ready, and we'll see what the cards, how they lay in that game. But no, I'm excited for QB back in the league for sure.
A quick question for you, Prime: Who wins a playoff game first, RD or QB to Stud?
QB Stud. RD looks off.
He's got a better team though.
I know. I don't think RD makes the playoffs.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I haven't seen QB play a game yet, and I haven't. I think obviously he was in Prime, right? I haven't done any research on how he was doing there, but I think where RD is struggling is that he's really trying to find his identity on defense. He's a safety user, always has been. Going back 8-9 years from when I started playing with him, he's always been a safety user, which is rare to have someone be a primary safety user. But That's why I struggled against him so much. But I don't think this is a good Madden for that. And he's trying to move away from it a little bit, but he can't quite figure out his roots on linebacker user. So I don't know. I think RD's got a lot to figure out. And so I'm going to lean QB stud just because he might already have it all figured out.
Hey, I want to say this is some breaking NFL news. I think he was a big deal in the SML for a little bit. Dwayne Haskins, quarterback for Washington and Pittsburgh, has died this morning in a car accident.
Oh my.
Terrible. That's
Dang.
awful news. Jeez.
That's terrible.
Was he in Pittsburgh area or was he back at his home?
South Florida, I guess.
Okay.
So he
Holy cow.
have turned 25 years old on May 3rd. Only 24 years old. What a shame.
That's terrible.
On that note, Matt, what's your Matt 5?
Yeah, so my Map 5 is written on a hotel piece of paper here. I'm not home, but we're going to give this one a shot. And I decided to go with, I was surprised by QB's call up just because I'm not home. I was kind of busy yesterday. I opened my phone and saw all these messages that QB was back. So I went with my top 5 surprises of the season so far. QB's not one of them, but it kind of inspired me. So at number 5, I've got it just meets passing. Where did this come from?
Yes.
I let the first game go because Monty plays defense with his eyes closed. We all know that. So I was like, that's just an anomaly. But he's continued to pass really well. I think he's first or second in the league in passing. Boy, he's chirping about it in chat, so he must be confident that he's figured something out. So meets passing. Who knew? Even I'm starting to learn to pass. Maybe this game itself is just catering to passing. At number 4, NFC South Records. A little bit shocking when you're looking down the standings and you only see one team with a winning record in the NFC South, which is a great division. And Dan can take a bow because it's him and he's 4-0. But Faz is 2-2. Future and Doink are 1-3. Now the schedules are tough. They've beat up on each other a little bit. Dan's beat up on him a little bit. But I'm still surprised. Especially Faz 2-2. I mean, coming off a snowboarding trip, a Super Bowl loss. I thought he would come out of the gate a little bit hotter. I think he's trying to figure out those 2 running backs. I can't figure out which one he wants to use, but that's a shock to me when you look at the standings. Going to another division, it's 8:03 in the morning here on the West Coast. I'm having a plate of crow for breakfast because maybe I said the NFC East, they're going to fall off the map because they play the AFC East and the NFC West. Their records are inflated. But holy smokes, that division's looking good outside of Graham's, who probably he has the best excuse, talking excuses in the league, of being a multimillionaire. That's a good excuse to not be good at Madden or to lose games. He's 0-3, but DW beat QP and beat him handedly. He's only got 1 loss. Dump's only got 1 loss, I believe. Paulie too. That maybe that division's for real. I don't know. I want to see how things shake out a little bit more, but the NFC East making me eat my words a little bit. And then 2-1, number 2. How about that Field General 007? Loses Brady. He's back. He loses Brady, and we think, oh no, because that kind of kept him together. His offense looked really good with Brady, especially early on last season. He didn't win a lot of games, but he looked like he had something going. But the guy's undefeated. Who would have thought that? He's 3-0. I think he's played a couple of AFC East teams and Finns, so the schedule hasn't really pushed him yet, but hey man, in the SML there's no such thing as an easy win, let me tell you that. So 3-0, props to Field. He's got that rookie quarterback. He seems to really enjoy him. He seems to be getting the job done, so great job, Field. And then on that same note, number 1, another guy that doesn't get a whole lot of recognition on this show, and that's another reason I wanted to do this list. We got another undefeated guy, and that's Mr. Spooky, who is actually 4-0, and Spooky has beaten DW. So his schedule hasn't been as tough, kind of like Field, but the NFC West has kind of been that punching bag a little bit. NYT's kind of ran away with it for the most part, but now he's playing catch up. He's a couple games back. Both these guys are undefeated. They're both playing good football. So how about that Field General 007 and Mr. Spooky World?
Wow, that's good.
That's a great list. Matt. I'm excited, man. Those 2 guys, I think, would bring a lot of energy if they could make a playoff push. It would be a lot of fun to see either of those guys, push NYT out there as well too. So I'm excited. That's a good list.
Yeah, good list, strong list. A lot of good surprises this season. And Matt, you left yourself off the list. A lot of people doubted you, but you brought it to Indianapolis week 2. I think that was a good, solid win by the Jaguars. And just
solid
another
win. He blew you out. He almost made you player of the week on the other end.
I know. I guess that's just what makes a great rivalry, you know?
I agree.
So, guys, I don't have anything else to say. Anybody else have any final comments?
I'm good.
All right.
No, I'm good. Let's have a good next 3 quarters of the season. I'm excited.
That is right. That was Matt, Dan on the other side, and I'm the reigning defending champion of the SML Primetime 000. Hey, guys, thanks for listening to Total Access. If we took a shot at you, hey, you can either get mad or you can get better. So until next time, thanks for listening. We're out.